It's the last place you'd expect to see them. But the Australian outback is home to the largest herd of wild camels in the world. From just several thousand brought to Australia in the mid-1800s, they now number over 1 million. It's a remarkable story of outback survival. The men who brought them here, the Afghan and Indian cameleers, brought not just their know-how to the bush, but their culture and their religion.
They were tough, I think they were resilient, and maybe a little bit crazy.
They probably gave Australia the lifeline to the outback.
They just came here with a job to do, and they just went off and they did it.
Last of the lords of the desert, who carried out food and water on a string of 50 camels. Old Bija de Verish, the giant Afghan, who fought the desert by compass and by Quran.
They're 60 miles before me, 900 miles behind. And this organ is rocking me back home on time. When loneliness and sorrow and trouble come my way. The first mosque was built here, you know that? The first mosque in Australia was built here in Maree.
In the 1890s, during the height of the camel industry, Maree in South Australia was known as Little Asia for its many turbaned inhabitants. Today, only a handful of cameleer descendants remain in the town. An echo of that era occurs once a year during the Maree Camel Cup, when the town's population swells and descendants come from all over Australia to gather in the old Ghan town. They back a winner and enjoy a barbecue, keeping up their family traditions of spicy curries and chapati bread.
It's fantastic. I mean, look at everybody here now. You know, everybody loves to get together and enjoy each other's company and cook a curry.
These cameleer families are now part of Australia's bush heritage. But their story begins more than 150 years ago, when their Muslim forefathers arrived to this totally foreign place, not knowing just what Australia had in store for them. The Afghan cameleers and their ships of the desert were a turning point in the development of the Australian interior. Camel trains brought urgently needed supplies to outback communities. They carted materials to build the overland telegraph. They assisted miners during the West Australian gold rush, and were invaluable during expeditions into uncharted territory.
It was very clear that the Afghans would provide a solution, or certainly camels would provide a solution to the opening up of the interior.
Everything was done by hand, and they'd have a box there to help the big boxes up onto the side of the camels, and I think their life was a pretty strenuous one, and I don't think any other whites would have wanted to do it.
Camel strings was the worst job, as every morning the camels were loaded and in the evening, sometimes midnight, offloaded. No sooner were we in bed, we would rise, and after the camels we would go.
Jack Bija.
They would pray 5 times a day. They would carry their prayer mats with them when they used to go travel from one state to another. They had a very strong Muslim identity.
When they go along with their camels and the strings, and they get down there their time for praying, they'd lay all the camels down, get their pray mat out, and they'd pray. When they finished, they put their pray mat back on the camel, and they'd walk again. They never rode, they walked.
Cameleers came from the arid hills and plains of Afghanistan and India. In Australia, these diverse ethnic groups of Pashtuns, Punjabis, Baluchis and Sindhis were collectively called Afghans. Most found a common bond in their Muslim identity, and where they settled, they built mosques. Built in 1890, Broken Hill has the oldest mosque in New South Wales. One of its founders, Zaidullah Fazallah, was the last cameleer to pray here.
My granddad used to be here all the time. He was always locked up, but after he died, no one came here, and vandals got in here, kids got in here and playing in here. Inside the prayer room, it's pretty well much all original. Well, from what I can gather, there's one old fella used to, when it was prayer time, he'd get out and he'd put his hands up like that and he'd yell out something, and they'd all come walking down to the mosque.
The Adelaide Mosque, established in 1889, is the oldest mosque still in use in Australia.
There is a get-together place for all Afghans in Australia. At least they try to be here once in a year, particularly Eid time, here. Throughout Australia, who are working in Western Australia, Queensland, Central Australia, Northern Territory, it does not matter. They try to come here at least during the Eid time.
Aishi Zada was the last of the descendants who lived amongst the cameleers. She died recently, aged 102.
Good working man, that's all I remember. Going working up and down birds and track. That's all he'd done because they was getting too old for work.
Pretty amazing story. Hard yakka, you know, hard work. But, you know, they did it, and a lot of people tried to do what they did. They were tough. I think they were resilient. They were ambitious, brave, and maybe a little bit crazy.
Just so I didn't ask them about their heritage and that, you know, what they'd done and where they worked, and it must have been hard.
They probably gave Australia the lifeline to the outback. And without them, I don't know who would have opened the outback up.
When I even think about my grandfather and my father, as I said, I'm only a short person, but I stand 10 feet tall because I have that pride. I'm a Mohammed and I'm proud of it. And I don't care who knows it. I've been born with something that's special. And that's where it is with the other Afghan descendants. We're special. We've got something that nobody else can lay claim to.